Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Shadow and Sun Show, and welcome back to another supplement review for Modern Necessities by Viktor Gorchev, the Scrying Dutchman, usable with old school essentials. Give your old school games some sci-fi and cyberpunk flavor with these options included within 6 new classes, new weapons and equipment, new vehicles, new technomancy spells, a selection of cyberpunk and sci-fi themed foes. Again, created by the Scrying Dutchman. I talked to Drive-Thru, and they're going to be sending me a better copy than this one. The pages are flush with the cover, which is a no bueno, because you need something to, grab onto when you're flipping, as well as Victor. You can see there how they butchered your name and cut it off at the bottom. Not your fault. They're gonna cover it. They're gonna send another copy out, and I'll be able to put it with the rest of them, and they'll all match in height, and it won't look like all janky. Now let's get into the review. So I want to say it's about a 66-page book. No, it's more than that actually. This one is significantly bigger than the single action book I just reviewed yesterday. It's more like 75 pages with a couple extra blank pages, and in the old days that was kind of cool. You had places to write notes with, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to do that. I don't think I've ever done that with anything in the last 40 years when I was younger, maybe. But right off the bat, let's give some credit to the folks who helped you out. Melissa, she did another great bang-up job. And if she's available, I might want to, hire her for an upcoming project, because I just got fed up with some things that I've been seeing and not seeing. But anyways, cover art by Nolan Collins, additional interior art by Jonathan Torres, Nolan Collins, and Just Shields. Some good stuff in here when it comes to the art. Some just middle of the road stuff as well. Some of it a little or very reminiscent of 1980s game art, which not a bad thing. Just some of it was a little cartoony for my tastes, but I realized like this picture right here of the I'm guessing that's some sort of orc or some weirdo with a bunch of cybernetics, googly eyes and shit. Yeah, okay, we can deal with that. Right off the bat, it starts off talking about the number of implants and who can have them and how many. Elves are not real good with implants, so they get kind of a negative, which I kind of understand. This piece of art right here, I really did like. Right off the bat, it tells a neat little story. See if I can get that in there for you. All the way down to his shoes. Kind of interesting. Then we go right into the there's a planet generation table, which I'm probably going to borrow or at least base mine on that for something I'm working on. Roll 20, and there's your basic kinds of planets, and then all the the different gravity, atmosphere, inhabitants. Kind of boiled away some of the massive amounts of things you need from like a traveler perspective, which is great when you're trying to squeeze things into a game that your players aren't going to give a crap about. They need to know about the air, the gravity, the people, and a few other things, but you don't need all that other stuff. But anyways, you get the cyborg class, which normally I'm not a big fan of. The whole lopping off of limbs and replacing them with machines, or shoving machines inside your body. But Victor made me actually rethink that just a little. If I was going to play in a game like this, I started looking at some of the things like I get that, and I get that, and I get that, and I get that. Your cyborg, very, very much what you'd expect. Pretty beefy, but I did have an issue with that one I'll get to later. The street samurai, needed more samurai to the street in the way of abilities. The guy hide and shadow moves silently and dual wield, but that's really just like a mercenary, adding a little bit more of the, kung fu sort of, Asian themed abilities might have been better. At 6th level, they get a few abilities that kind of reinforce what he's shooting for, but it just, didn't really grab me. I mean, obviously, it's just a name. It's not, I guess, meant to be a full-on, Oriental armor, samurai, sword, katana, it could be just anybody. It's probably just slang. The jockey was very interesting, having a character in the party, I guess, that specializes in drones. These days, they're everywhere, and they should have been in sci-fi since the beginning, but we're just getting around to them now, so people weren't thinking about it. So that was a really nice addition. The Netrunner, your typical, hacker that can, hack through the keyboard or with their mind and go inside the web and do the crazy, lawnmower man kind of stuff. Then the Spacer, really a great innovation here by making it, you could easily be a pilot, some sort of, member of a crew, or straight up mech pilot, which nice way to save some space and get two things done at once, and their abilities are everything you'd expect, and their ability to progress is, again, what you'd expect. D8 hit die, 2000 XP for first level to get to second level. Some decent abilities, repairing the ship and go fast and dodge and stuff like that. Then we've got the Cyberdoc, which is one part physician, medic, and the other part robot repairman. Definitely something you'd want, but they also have some other little abilities in here. Some ability to use the technomancy spells, very cool. Street medicine and a little bit of back alley dealing, if you know what I mean. Then a huge section on just about every kind of weapon you could want for this kind of game. I really loved the grenades and explosives, with some new takes and some new types of explosives, like a cryo charge, gravity charge. Really interesting ideas, especially when you're doing like a heist and you need something to throw off the authorities, things like that. Firearm attachments, all kinds of cool stuff. The under barrel, over and under kind of thing, where you got a mini laser carbine underneath whatever it is you're firing. The overcharged capacitors was a brilliant idea to hotwire your laser gun so that it does more damage, maybe using up more charges but more bang for your buck. Some cool ammunition, including ammo that sort of warps in and out of space as it's going, so that it could hit and bypass armor. Reminded me of the Skipper missiles from Wing Commander. I love that. Nanite weapons, nanite bullets, they hit you, they go in and they then start doing all kinds of freaking mayhem. The armor, really dug the stealth suit, the other stuff, personal shields, things like that. I'm surprised you didn't have a phasing armor that allows you to pass walls and stuff like that. That would have been pretty next level, but maybe it's something the players have to kind of come up with on their own. Armor upgrades, mirror coating, whisper weave coating, things, just ways to beef up your armor without, kind of being able to wear two suits of armor at once. The equipment, a nice little chunk of things I really liked. Of course, the grapple gun. Who doesn't want that? I mean, that should be in like every game somehow. There should be a grapple gun. All kinds of different cyber security bypassing equipment that you would need in a game like this. A bunch of cool little ways to make holographic decoys and things like that. Then there's a section on pharmaceuticals. Don't do drugs, kids. Stay in school. But if you're gonna use these imaginary ones for your imaginary characters to get imaginary things done in new and unique if not kind of harebrained, schemed, sort of ways. A bunch of different kinds of explosives and demolitions equipment. The hollow tripwire, I love that. Neural link detonator, so you could set off the bomb with your mind. I can kill you with my mind. Then the augmentations, there's a bunch of them. Not a fan of that sort of thing, but if you're going to go that route, Victor came up with some really good ones in here that I mean, it's been a while since I sold my copy of Cyberpunk, which I wish I hadn't done, but this he kind of nailed it in just under 80 pages. You can just, there you go. Although there was very little in the way of world building material and ideas, but that's going to be different with every GM. But you got your basic augmentations that include things like the data jack. You can't live without that. The eye, ear, nose, mouth implants to have better senses. The health boosters that basically give you more hit points and help you regenerate. Blood filter, body bomb, so when you finally go out, you go out with a bang. The sneak skin, so your skin is basically a stealth suit. Kind of badass. I love that stuff. Then the full-on cyber arm and leg attachments. But I noticed you didn't have any torso. The full skeleton. I think the skeleton's in here. But you don't have like the rib cage, armored rib cage. Maybe one that opens up and the laser guns come out. Yeah. If you know, you know. This is some interesting additions for your feet and hands. The magnetic grip, the kung fu grip, the gripper claw, the flipper feet, and then the rollerblade feet. Can't lie, I've actually used that one in the past. It was kind of silly, but kind of helpful for a low-tech solution to get to places really, really quick. It's actually kind of a no-brainer. Then I was talking about the cyborg upgrades, the frames, the skeletons, and things like that. Armor plating. I didn't agree with your summation that the full frame is going to lower the hit points and the armor class. I would think, maybe the armor class because you're not getting as much of the dex bonus, but if you're getting a full, almost body conversion, you're going to have more, hit points, I guess, for lack of a better word. You're more machine than man, therefore your fleshy bits are, protected deep inside of a hard metal shell coating, but that's me. And then the vehicle section, he did a really nice job of summing up a whole bunch of vehicles real quick, like in just a few short pages. The land vehicles include, I want to say about a half a dozen different mechs that, really concise, telling you everything you need to know. The armor class, the hit points, the movement, the fuel. I don't know what the CC is or the P is. The crew, obviously, one. And then the cost, and then on each one it tells you what you really need to know, which is the weapon loadouts. Unless you're the full-on, mech pilot and you've got your baby, all tricked out, then you're gonna, work on that and build that up as you're playing your character. And there's, your basic hover vehicles. Really surprised to see the mini sub and submarine in here, which is actually a lot of fun because it's an overlooked mode of transportation in any sci-fi or even modern day setting that you can get around and do some crazy stuff with covertly. And it was really nice to see that addition. Then the spaceships, he put in about a dozen spaceships in here in about a half a dozen pages, and really boiling them down as well to what you need to know and what you don't need to know, or the other superfluous information the GM and the players can work out on their own. But just the hard points, the weapons, the armor, etc. Then a nice section of drones, including one I was really happy to see, the medic drone. You got a little robot buddy that flies around behind you and stitches you back together every time you fall down. Not bad. Then we get into the technomancy spells. Only a couple. I want to say about 3 maybe 4 spells per level from 1 through 6 that a couple of the characters get to use. There were some spells I would have liked to have seen, but some of the ones I did see were actually really, really unique and interesting. And I've always had this really fond fascination with the idea of technomancy spells that allow you to do and manipulate technological devices and processes. Anyways, like the AI familiar, you've got a little, chat GPT AI friend in your computer or whatever, battery drain, drone buddy, encrypted message, cloaked signature, data bomb, QR lock, overclock, lets you run your devices on, twice the efficiency, possibly burning them out, but throw that on top of an overcharged rifle, a laser rifle, and you could really do some serious damage. Conjure cybernetic, so you could conjure out of thin air a replacement cybernetic arm for your buddy whose arm got blown off. Digital resurrection, so you could find a dead body and download their personality into a device, a computer data pad or something, and question them as you leave their body behind, but now you've got all their info, and make them talk to you and things like that. Then there was conjure special ammo. These are some of the 6th level. Bend light, edit, screen burn, a little more complicated than I want to go into, but conjure special ammo, I thought that was like, I would either make it give them more ammo or knock it down to a 5th level spell, because if you can conjure a full-on cybernetic arm with all the things that it can do, summoning up 66 high-tech rounds of ammunition, it's a little expensive for a 6th level spell, but what do I know. Then the NPCs, when I saw this, I'm like, well, what, no monsters? I'm almost at the end of the book, but he mixed NPCs to include monsters. You've got your Cyberpunk, your Silicon android, which I thought was awesome. Makes no noise until they attack, can absorb glass or silicon-based materials to immediately regenerate 3 hit points. Well, it's only a 4 hit die, 18 hit point creature. Having it able to do that, as you're shooting at it, and it ducks behind a car and scoops up some of that broken glass to regenerate. That's kind of awesome. Then a bunch of regular mooks that you'd bump into, corporate agents, security droids, corporate executive, just to stat them out. But then he also threw in some interesting things like rogue replicant. What does that remind you of? Chitnid drones and warriors and chitnid brains, kind of like stuff from Starship Troopers maybe. Then there's the Xeno Stalker, the Xeno Face Pouncer, the Xeno Queen, and the Alien Hunter, and then the Alien Mimic. So you could throw in Blade Runner, Alien, and the Thing all in the same game just by adding a couple of pages. That was really, really clever and ingenious. And then, of course, a bunch of cyber things you could run into when you're net running, all in one book, 76 pages. You really did a bang-up job on this one, Victor. You could really, with your core rulebook and this one or any of the other books, you've really created a really interesting set of scenarios you could run with not a lot of work, and most of this stuff is just no-brainer kind of stuff when it comes to we've all played like BX or AD&D or things like that, and it makes it really easy to just hop from genre to genre. Maybe make a sliders supplement. I'm gonna have to go look through the original Kickstarter and see what other books are coming out later, because you could easily do that. Have a group of characters jumping from world to world to world by using these books and a few other core mechanics. But that's what I've got for you guys today. I don't know if I'll be back Thanksgiving morning. It depends on what I end up doing tomorrow evening. But if I don't see you guys for Thanksgiving, know that I will be back Friday morning with some more Atlantean greatness. But until then, have a great Thanksgiving. Even those of you who are not celebrating Thanksgiving tomorrow, have a great day anyways. And I will see you around. And as always, happy trails.